Welcome to Pulse of Politics, your go-to channel for breaking global news, deep political insights, and trending international stories, all in simple, clear language. In a shocking turn for both gamers and the broader tech industry, Nintendo has officially announced a delay in pre-orders for the much-anticipated Switch 2 console, citing newly introduced U.S. tariffs on electronics as a major factor. This unexpected decision has sent ripples through the gaming community, with many wondering how international politics are now directly impacting the entertainment they love. Let's break down what this means, not just for Nintendo fans, but for the entire gaming industry. Why the delay? Nintendo had been gearing up to open pre-orders for the Switch 2 as early as this summer. The upgraded console has been at the center of speculation for over a year, promising better graphics, stronger processing power, and new exclusive titles. But the recent U.S. government's decision to impose new tariffs on electronics imported from Asian countries, particularly China, has thrown a wrench into those plans. According to Nintendo's internal sources, production costs have suddenly risen by 10 to 20%, and company executives are now reassessing their pricing strategy. Rather than launch pre-orders with a potentially inflated price, Nintendo chose to delay, possibly reworking their supply chain to avoid passing the cost on to consumers. What are tariffs and why do they matter? To understand the full impact, let's quickly explain tariffs. A tariff is a tax placed by a government on goods imported from other countries. The U.S. uses tariffs to protect domestic manufacturers or respond to unfair trade practices. While this might help American companies in some industries, it can seriously disrupt international supply chains. In this case, the new tariffs are part of the Biden administration's updated economic stance toward China, aiming to reduce dependency on Chinese manufacturing and encourage U.S.-based production. Unfortunately, this also affects tech giants like Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, all of whom rely heavily on production plants in China, Taiwan, and other parts of Asia. The bigger picture, a hit to the global gaming industry. This isn't just about Nintendo. The entire gaming ecosystem stands to feel the impact. Game developers, hardware accessory companies, and even esports organizations depend on timely releases of major consoles. A delay in Switch 2's release can have a domino effect. Accessory makers can't finalize designs until they know the final hardware specs. Game studios developing exclusives may have to delay their launches. Retailers like GameStop and Amazon may face a dip in expected revenue this holiday season. More importantly, the enthusiasm of millions of gamers is at risk. Delays in major console releases often lead to frustration, especially when it comes from a third-party decision. In this case, political policy. Impact on gamers. Gamers have already taken to social media platforms like X, formerly Twitter, Reddit, and Discord to express their concerns. Many fear that the delay could push the console's launch into late 2025, or that Nintendo might increase the base price of the Switch 2 to compensate for rising costs. Some are also worried about regional availability. If tariffs vary by country, gamers in the U.S. might pay more than those in Europe or Japan. This kind of pricing disparity could create tension in global fan communities. Others are asking a more philosophical question. Why are gamers being punished for political disagreements? What does this mean for Nintendo's competitors? Sony and Microsoft are not immune. Both companies also rely on East Asian manufacturing hubs, and while their latest consoles, the PS5 and Xbox Series X, are already in the market, they too could face pricing changes, supply disruptions, or strategic delays for upcoming iterations. In fact, Sony has already begun lobbying U.S. trade officials, asking for exemptions on certain parts used in PlayStation devices. Microsoft, meanwhile, is exploring new manufacturing contracts in Vietnam and India to diversify its supply chain. So, while Nintendo is the first to delay a major product due to these tariffs, it likely won't be the last. A political chess game. Technology meets diplomacy. This situation isn't just about business. It's about the intersection of politics and technology. The Biden administration's approach to China represents a continuation and expansion of Trump-era trade wars. These new tariffs target semiconductors, batteries, and consumer electronics, all of which are critical to the tech industry. By using tariffs as leverage, the U.S. hopes to bring more manufacturing back home. But the short-term cost is real: delays, higher prices, and disrupted global tech flows. And companies like Nintendo, which is based in Japan but deeply integrated into U.S. and Chinese markets, are caught in the middle. What's next for Switch 2? Nintendo hasn't released a new launch date yet. However, some insiders speculate that the company might move parts of production to tariff-free zones such as Vietnam or Mexico, release a digital-only version of Switch 2 to cut down on hardware costs, bundle the console with subscription services like Nintendo Switch Online to add value, delay the entire rollout until Q2 of 2026 to avoid a rushed launch under pressure. None of these are confirmed, but fans are watching closely. The global reaction. Major gaming news outlets like IGN, Kotaku, and GamesRadar are running front-page coverage of the situation. Economic analysts are also weighing in, suggesting that the tariffs could reduce Q4 gaming revenues by over $500 million globally if other companies follow Nintendo's lead. Meanwhile, the Japanese government is reportedly concerned about how this will affect its national tech exports. Trade ministers from both Japan and South Korea are said to be in quiet talks with U.S. trade representatives, pushing for flexibility. Conclusion: a wake-up call for gamers and governments. The delay in Switch 2 pre-orders isn't just a minor bump in the road. It's a sign of a deeper, growing conflict between global trade dynamics and the tech-dependent future we all live in. Gamers are no longer just consumers. They're stakeholders in a trillion-dollar global economy that is increasingly being shaped by politics, diplomacy, and trade wars. As fans wait for updates from Nintendo, the story is far from over. And here on Pulse of Politics, we'll be keeping a close eye on every development. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on all the major stories, not just in politics, but in the world of technology, finance, and global affairs.